Hey friends, Tanette here. So I made a video talking about Bernie and then I accidentally deleted it. And it was a long one and now I have to start all over. I don't even know if I can have the energy to do this. But basically I want to talk about Bernie and how I feel that he's, kind of been unfairly pounced on by saying that he is suspending his campaign. And I wanted to talk about a few different points. One of the points that I wanted to talk about is that there's, Jimmy Dore and Graham Elwood and I don't know, maybe Kyle Kulinski, Mike Figueroa, some of the different TYT people have mentioned that, hey, Bernie didn't call out the election fraud. How come Bernie didn't call out the election fraud? And it's very frustrating to me because I don't understand why we feel the need to put the whole weight of the world on one single man's shoulders. A 78-year-old man who's been working his literal heart out for us for decades, who has done more, physically done more work than any of the whole lot of us combined, right? I mean, the man has an amazing work ethic, right? But just to talk about the election fraud. Now, I've made videos about the election fraud. I completely believe 100% that there is substantial election fraud going on. It happened in 2016 and it happened again this year. And if you don't believe that, that's, whatever. You have a right to believe whatever you want to believe. But the fact of the matter is that all of our machines in the United States have been proven to be hackable. That's just a fact. We had legislation in Congress. Tulsi Gabbard had I think it was called the American Election Integrity Act or something or other. But she had legislation, she had a bill in Congress that was for paper ballots, hand-counted paper ballots, right? No more machines, right? The machines are hackable. The votes can be manipulated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The exit polls showed that Bernie did better than what the results showed, right? And it was always in Biden's favor. And it's just, we have to, at some point, believe what we're seeing with our eyes and what we're seeing within, real people, what they're talking about. We have a man who has record attendance at his rallies, who has 2 million people boots on the ground, right? We have a man who has raised more money than any candidate in the history of candidates. We have a man who is the most favorite politician in America, right? And then we have exit polls saying that Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, who can't fill a stadium, who has nothing to offer, is somehow coming out of the woodwork and beating Bernie. It's just not happening. It didn't happen. But I want to talk to the narrative that everybody's beating up Bernie. Why didn't he call out the election fraud? And the thing is that if it was so easy to call out the election fraud, it would have already been done. But we don't have a path to call out election fraud. We don't have a precedent to call out election fraud. Like in my state is Washington State, right? Supposed to be legit, pretty progressive. Supposedly, Bernie Sanders lost to Joe Biden in my state. I'm sorry, that's just not possible. It truly isn't. There's no freaking way that Joe Biden beat Bernie Sanders in Washington State. Can I prove it? Nope, can't prove it. But Bernie should. I can't prove it. Jimmy Dore can't prove it. Kyle Kulinski can't prove it. Graham Elwood can't prove it. None of us can prove it in a court of law, right? We have exit polls that show Bernie loses 15 points, Biden gains 15 points. It's always the same, right? We know that, we know it's wrong, right? So I went online and I looked in Washington State. And Washington State is it's supposed to be legit, right? It's easy to vote here. You vote by mail. But the ballots, so I don't even know if my vote got counted the way that I cast it. Because there's no way to know. There is no legitimate way for us to know. We in Washington State, we have a ballot. We sign our name on the outside of the ballot. And our ballots are scanned. The envelope is scanned. The ballot inside has no relationship to me. It has no markings of where it came from. All it has is the generic, it's just like a blank ballot and you have the little bubbles filled out. And then, so they scan the envelope and supposedly some, trolls, little, fancy orange-headed trolls, double check our signatures and make sure that it's really us. I don't know how that happens. Is that also a machine? I don't know. Supposedly our signatures are verified. It's verified if we check the little box that said whether we are a Democrat or a Republican. And then they take our ballot out of the envelope. And now, after it leaves the envelope, there's no relation to us. There's no name on it. There's no fingerprint. There's no QR code. There's no SKU. There's no UPC barcode. There's nothing, right? So this blank thing supposedly gets fed into a machine. And the machine takes a photo, takes a picture of my ballot. Now, I'm going to tell you that I voted for Bernie Sanders. Now, you might not believe me, but I circled the little bubble for Bernie Sanders. But I don't know if my vote actually got counted as Bernie Sanders. I have no idea. A machine supposedly scanned a picture of my ballot. Possibly. There could be stacks and stacks and stacks of empty generic ballots filled up with whoever, right? I don't know. The process is not viewed by the public. There are no public eyes watching what goes on. The machines can easily it can be told to give a fraction of Bernie's votes to all the different candidates. It can say at every third delegate or every third vote of Bernie's, give one to Biden. It could say every 2 Bernie votes, give one to Biden. And every 4th vote of Bernie, give to one of the other candidates. They can program it to do whatever. And we have no way to know. So, in Washington State, you have like 3 days to request, hey, I want a recount. And then the person, whoever the powers that be are in our state, says, well, why do you want a recount? And then you have to give a good reason why you want a recount. Well, I want a recount because the exit polls that haven't come out yet. You don't even know what the exit polls were because they haven't even been like verified or counted or tallied or anything yet, right? So I don't know how you do that, but let's just say that you were suspecting that there was fraud. Then you would say, I need a recount, and they would say, okay, all right, Bernie Sanders, we'll go ahead and say that's a good reason. You're going to have to pay for it. And then what is the recount? You know what the recount is? The recount is them double checking the scanned photos of the machine. I don't know. I don't trust the machines. I don't trust the machines that supposedly were the tallies. So why would I trust the machines to give me a recount? And every single state is different. Some states don't even have ballots. They just have the screens, right? So I'm just saying that there is no method. Every freaking state is different. We have gerrymandering going on. We have voter suppressing going on. We have polling stations being closed. Hundreds of polling stations being closed. I am simply saying it cannot be put on Bernie Sanders' shoulders. He can only do so much, and he himself repeatedly, over and over and over and over again, said, this is not about me, this is about us. I can't do it alone. Bernie Sanders doesn't have some magic wand that says, oh, hey, because Bernie Sanders says that's what he wants. Well, okay, folks, Bernie wants it, so here you go. He knows that. He has said over and over and over that nothing happens from the top down. Everything has to come from the bottom up. Who is the bottom up? We are the bottom up. I am the bottom up. You are the bottom up. Kyle Kulinski is the bottom up. David Doel is the bottom up. My next door neighbor, every single person in the United States is the bottom up. Bernie is one man. He has tried to tell us what we deserve. He has tried to inspire us to ask for more. He has... The media has blacked him out. When they're not blacking him out, they're smearing him. When he should be getting good press, he's getting bad press or no press. They're talking... They say, okay, Bernie, you didn't do as good as you did last time. Really? You didn't do as good as you did last time. But Bernie, you're not calling out the election fraud. You're not calling out all the voting machines that were hacked. But Bernie, you didn't do as good as last time. What? Are you, you can't have it both ways. Did he get the votes? Or did he not get the votes? Was he just a terrible candidate that nobody liked and they just didn't vote for him? I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. He is the most beloved freaking politicians. He had more donations from teachers, more donations from nurses, more union support. He had all the coalitions with the Medicare for All people that he was working with, and the freaking Green New Deal people that he was working with. This was an unprecedented grassroots movement. He did not lose. Of course the election was rigged. And so if the election was rigged, which we know that it was, then you can't say he didn't get the votes, because he probably did. So, what do? We don't have a method. There is no mechanisms in any of these states to fix these votes. There's no way to verify them. Every state is different. Every rule is different. You have a small, tiny 1-2 day window of time to wave the white flag. And even still, we don't even have a method of actually verifying votes legitimately. And he can't do that in every single state. Seriously? You want to see him? You want to see him tank? You have him try to go out in front of the national news and say that, wow, I actually won all those states. I won all those states. It's those rigged machines. Bernie Sanders cannot do that. He cannot go out and say it was the rigged machines. All right? He can't do it. It's just political suicide. You do it. I do it. The grassroots people do it. The local people do it. The people that are on the ground, the poll workers, the people on the ground have to be the ones doing this. This is us. This is the us part, right? Bernie is amazing. He's not a savior. You've said it. I've said it. He's not perfect. He's freaking damn close to the best thing we've got going for us. It's so very frustrating. And we've got the mainstream media. We've got them beating up Bernie, smearing, lying about Medicare for All. They're protecting Biden. They're not calling out his lies. They're not calling out his sexual assault accusations. They're not calling out the fact that he has a track record of lying. They're not calling out his warmongering efforts. They're not calling out the fact that he is the status quo. They're not calling out the fact that he lied about marching and civil rights and all this kind of thing. They're not calling out the fact that he's losing his mind real time on stage repeatedly over and over and over again, right? But this is Bernie's fault, right? You say you want Bernie because Bernie is ethical and a good person and honest and authentic. He is who he is. He means what he says and he says what he means, right? You want him because he is who he is. But then you get pissed because he's not somebody else. You can't have it both ways. Bernie is who he is. You want someone that's going to fight? He's fighting in the only way that he knows how. He talks about policy. He knows that, you know what, at the end of the day, he is not a radical. He is not a radical. He is a very realistic person. And he knows so much. It's always said, it's not him, it's us. He keeps telling us this. He's still telling us this. He cannot get to the White House without us. He can't do it. He cannot do it. We have to call out establishment media. We have to knock on our neighbors' doors. We have to talk to our family members. We have to call out the freaking Whoopi Goldbergs. We have to be able to say, listen, you have no right to talk to Bernie Sanders about dropping out and asking him to, well, what about Joe Biden? Joe Biden has nothing to offer this nation. And she should be ashamed of herself for even supporting him. Anybody who's supporting Biden is either, I will vote for anybody that's a Democrat person, or they're voting for him because name recognition. They think, oh, Obama's vice president. Okay. Like whatever. They're not into politics. They don't get it. Or they believe the mainstream media that said that Biden was the most likely candidate to beat Trump. So the mainstream media, who gets the most exposure, who constantly was bashing Bernie, bashing his supporters, telling everybody that Biden's your guy, Biden, right? Before Biden, it was Buttigieg. Before Buttigieg, it was Kamala Harris. Before Kamala Harris, it was Beto O'Rourke. Before it was freaking Klobuchar. Who? They were freaking lifting up Klobuchar when Bernie just got done freaking winning, right? Oh, but look at that strong third place Klobuchar. And we're blaming Bernie, right? Bernie is in the middle of a pandemic. And he's like, okay, listen, I have a very slim chance of winning, right? I can't campaign. I can't send my volunteers out to knock on doors. I don't even want to tell people to go out to the polls and vote because I don't want them to die, right? So he has his freaking people. Oh my gosh. He has people in his organization telling him that he should go ahead and step down. Go ahead and, just step down. It's time to let it go, Bernie. Just let it go. That is horse shit. That is complete and utter bullshit. Bernie should have said, if you're not in the fight for the whole fight, if you don't have the stomach for it, if you're afraid of losing, so you're not going to continue the fight, there's the door. There's the door. I don't know who that was. I don't know if it was Faz. I don't know if it was Jim Weaver. I read in a couple places it was Jim Weaver and Faz. I don't know if it was Ro Khanna. I read that someplace it was Pramila. I did read that Nina Turner and Rashida Tlaib said stay and fight. Listen, Bernie knew it wasn't going to be easy. We all knew it wasn't going to be easy. He knew that even if he got to the freaking White House, we were going to still have to fight. We were still going to have to go to the freaking streets. But we are in the fight of our lives. And we have got to tell Bernie, you listened to your advisors. You shouldn't have listened to your advisors. You're the coach. You're the coach, Bernie. And we are your team. We are your team. And your team doesn't accept your resignation. And we're not coming off the field in the middle of the freaking Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if we're down 2 touchdowns and there's only 10 minutes left. I put on my Seahawks shirt. You know why? Because the Seahawks have been down over and over and over again. Do they give up? Do they just go, well, it was a tough game. We're not going to finish the game? This isn't a game. We are literally fighting for our lives. And Joe Biden is not the guy. He is not the guy. And it's not about fucking Trump. And you know that, Bernie. God, you know it. And I know it. And everybody else knows it. And I wish to goodness, this is the one thing that I really agree with Jimmy Dore and all the rest of them on, is quit talking about Trump. Quit talking about Trump. This campaign is not about freaking Trump. This campaign is about Medicare for all. It's about forgiving the student debt, and it's about freaking climate change. Climate change at the top. We have less than 8 years to get our shit together. We don't have time. We don't have 4 years. We don't have 4 years to wait. We can't let Trump have another 4 years, and we can't let Biden have 8. Because Biden will not give us a Green New Deal, and he will not give us Medicare for all, and another 68,000 people will die, and we'll have another pandemic, and we will have bigger fires, and we will have worse droughts, and we will have more people that are pushed away from their homes. We do not have time to play a freaking game. So it is about us. It is about you and me and your neighbors and your girlfriends and your freaking coaches and whatever we have to do. We have to get on the phone and we got to dial 911 and we got to explain to people that this primary is not over. There is still 24 states that need to vote. And we have got to get Bernie as many freaking votes as possible. And Bernie, you need to get back in the game. Get back in the game. This is an unprecedented situation. So, it's unprecedented, right? We've done everything else that's unprecedented. You got more volunteers. You got more donations. And you're in the middle of this fight for our lives in the middle of a pandemic. So, there's not enough weight on your shoulders trying to run for the presidency. We're going to throw a pandemic at you, and then we're going to hold all of that on your shoulders as well. Everything that's going on with the pandemic, the stimulus bill, which you get beat up about because you wanted to get the bill out to get people money. Why? You knew there was going to be more bills coming because there wasn't enough in the first bill. And I understand you needed to get money out the door. And we know that there was a lot of giveaways there. We get it. I get it. I don't even want to talk about that part. We need to get you in the game. You need to say, okay, people. I understand you won't accept my resignation. Okay? So, I fucked up. I'm back in the race. Let's go freaking full force. Give it everything we got. And I need your help. And if you're not in it, till the end, then don't let the door hit you in the ass. Anybody that's ready to still fight, I'm with you. I'm still here. I'm going to fight. I feel guilty asking people to vote. I can see Bernie saying, I feel guilty asking for you to go out and vote because I don't want people to risk their lives to vote. But listen, our lives are already on the line. People are going to die because they don't have Medicare for all. And people are going to die because they don't have a Green New Deal. And people are going to die because they don't freaking have a job. And they get into despair and they freaking kill themselves from suicide. We need your leadership. We need your leadership. We're not going to quit the game in the middle of the game. We're not quitting. We are not quitting. Joe Biden is not the guy. He's not decent. I mean, it's so frustrating. He seems like a nice guy. He does. He seems like a nice guy. But we know that he sent people to war on purpose. That is not a nice guy. We know that he's creepy and he breathes on people and he pets children's hair and he's like in people's space. And now he has sexual assault allegations by Tara Reade. And I know it's her word against his word. I believe her. I totally believe her. I don't know if it's true, but I believe her. The way she tells the story, I've been in very similar situations. And, the men, especially men in power, they think that they can do whatever they want. He's very similar to Trump. He really is an egomaniac. He wants to be coordinated. He's lazy. He's not all there. He's got a terrible track record. He can't beat Trump. Listen, every single person that's going to vote for Biden because they just want to beat Trump, all of those voters will vote for Bernie. But all the voters that really care about policy and really care about a Green New Deal and really care about student loan forgiveness and really care about legalized marijuana and really care about ending the prison industrial complex and really, really care about a freaking job guarantee. People that really care about policy and really changing the nation for the good, those people won't come out and vote for Biden. So if you want to vote for Trump, if you want Trump out of here, if that's your only care, then you gotta vote for Bernie. You gotta vote for Bernie. He is the most electable. It's not Biden. Biden is not the most electable. Biden gets the blue no matter who vote. That's what Biden gets. There's no excitement about Biden because he has nothing to be excited about. It's not about Bernie, it's about us. We need Bernie in the White House though. We cannot move forward with a Biden presidency or a Trump presidency. With Trump, it's 4 more years of hell. With Biden, it's 8 more years of nothing. And we don't have 8 more years to do nothing. We have got to pull out all the stops. It's got to be unprecedented. Bernie's got to take an unprecedented, swallow his pride, and say, I screwed up. I was wrong. You're right. The fight isn't over. I'm in it to the end. And the end is fucking August. And I'm going to fight on the floor with all of my delegates that are there. And I'm going to ask you guys to speak to the freaking media. And we're going to call out the election fraud. And we're going to work on getting elections fixed in the future. We have a lot of freaking work to do. It cannot be on Bernie. That is what I'm trying to say. One person can't fix all that's wrong with this world. Right? Not me, us. He needs all of us. That's why he needs us million people talking and pushing and getting out the vote. And I need somebody who is a freaking computer guru, to create an app. We need an app where everybody can go in and take a picture of their own ballot, and they can sign it as legit. This is considered to be a legal tender under perjury of law, notarized, legit. This is how I voted. I want a secondary method out there in the United States where people can document how their vote was cast. And let's compare that to what happens, right? We really do need that. We need something. We need something. And the gerrymandering and the voter suppression and the voter registrations that have been kicked off and the ballots that don't get sent out, all that crap needs to end. But we have to get Bernie elected, and it's not over. There's still 24 states. 24 states still need to vote. It isn't over unless we say that it's over. And even if we lose, we've got to stay on the freaking field and fight to the death. We have to be telling our children that they were worth the fight. And we didn't give up because it looked gloomy. It does look gloomy. That's why we're fighting. This is crazy. It's so bad. It's exactly why we don't quit. We don't quit. We don't quit. We are in this to win this. Bernie, you're killing me. Get back in the game. I do not accept your resignation. I do not accept your resignation. All right? I can understand you had a rough day. You've been getting the shit kicked out of you by assholes like Whoopi Goldberg and Alyssa Milano and Hillary Clinton and Joanne Reed and all these asshole millionaires that think that they can tell lies to the American public and make millions doing it. It literally, at the end of this, my mission in life is going to be exposing these mother effers. I shouldn't have said that. All right, folks. I have no idea how this turned out. I don't think I got to all my points, but have a good night.